Hi guys, my name is Morgan Babineau and I previously did Takeaway Tuesdays, but now I'm going to start STEM Saturdays. Every week on Saturdays, we are going to be taking STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, and I'm going to come up with really creative ways to make it fun, doing science experiments, crafts, incorporating math in a fun way into your everyday life. It's going to be a really good time. Today we're going to be making egg geodes, and I didn't come up with this myself, so I am going to link to the exact instructions that I found online. It'll be in the description below. All right, let's get right into it. What's the first step to any science experiment? Gathering all of your materials. So we're going to do that right now. All right, first thing you're gonna need is a carton of eggs. I have got them right here. All right, I'm gonna take off my jean jacket because this is getting serious. But next, you're gonna need a container for some water. And I've got mine right up here. All right, let's fill this bad boy up. And I'm not gonna do too much. I'm just gonna fill it with enough water because we are gonna boil the water down. So I did about that much. All right, next you're gonna need some soluble solids that are soluble in water, which just means that it mixes well into the water. So I am gonna take out my baking soda. I'm gonna take out my sugar. It's just normal granulated sugar. Next, we're gonna take out our salt, which is another soluble solid. Next, you're gonna need a heat-safe container. They suggest using a mug, which I'm gonna do. I've got my little Beatles mug here. That's just so that when we do put boiling water or hot water in it, that it doesn't melt. So don't use any plastic containers. All right, next, we're gonna need some spoons. Now you need food coloring and egg dye. Just normal food coloring works fine. I got this Great Value one. And last but certainly not least, you're gonna need some plastic wrap or wax paper. Now that we've gathered all of our materials, it is time to get making those egg geodes. I'm also grabbing a bowl because we're gonna be cracking the eggs into the bowl to clean out all of the yolk inside of it. All right, so now we're gonna crack the eggs. I'm just gonna open up my carton here. And it says to crack them as close as you can to the skinnier end of the egg. So that's this end. I'm gonna try my best, I guess we'll see, but it's just basically so that you still have a bunch of the egg to be able to put all of the ingredients in after we clean it out. Grab my bowl. I'm not the greatest at cracking eggs, so I guess we'll see how this goes. I'm just gonna put it so that it's closer to this skinnier end and see if I can crack it and be precise. All right, and then I'm just gonna let the egg drip into the bowl. As you can see, I kinda cracked it, leaving at least a little bit of the egg left on there. So then what I'm gonna do is clean off around here, being very gentle, just so that it makes like a bowl is what you want it to look like. And it doesn't need to be perfect by any means. Like I said, I kind of cracked it, not the greatest, but you gotta make do with what you have. I just flipped an eggshell all the way over there. So now that I've made it kind of even, you can see it's just like a little bowl. And these little jaggedy edges don't matter. I'm also gonna grab a plate just so that I can set the eggs on it so that they sit upright. Now I'm gonna crack at least 3 more eggs. That one came out a little bit better. Peeling. Yeah, that one was a lot better. I feel a lot better about this one. So then now I'm going to set that on my little plate. Okay, now that our eggshells are all cracked, you're gonna wanna use some hot water right out of the sink, and you're gonna get all of the extra yolk that's still in there. And there also is a little film. If you put your finger in there, it's all slimy. You're gonna wanna get rid of that also, just because if you leave that in there, then the eggs will get all moldy and then your geode will turn black, and we don't want that. We want it to be a pretty color with the food coloring. So, just gonna get my water hot. Give it a second. Get in there. Don't burn yourself either, that wouldn't be good. All right, now my water's pretty hot. I'm gonna add a little bit of cold just so I don't burn my finger. But you do want it to be pretty hot. And then you're just gonna take it and just rinse it out. And really get your finger in there and make sure you'll start to see, I don't know if you can see this little film inside of there. It looks like a little jelly. You're gonna wanna get that out of there. So I just popped it with my finger, and now I'm scraping out the little extra film that's in there. And it's like peeling up, if you can see that. Yep, getting all of it. Took off a little piece of the shell. Oopsies. Alright, yep, and then when you go in there, it should feel all clean inside. I'm gonna turn off the cold water. Now I'm gonna go off camera and I'm gonna do the rest of the eggs. Alright, now I'm gonna take this plastic wrap that I have. Gonna be a little bit difficult, and basically doesn't need to be perfect. You're gonna take the egg carton that you got your eggs out of, and I am just gonna line the inside of those little divots where the eggs that I used were, and we're just gonna put some plastic wrap in there. This is just so that they stay in place while we're doing our experiment. So again, this doesn't really have to be perfect. You can see I just lined it with that plastic wrap. Now I'm going to take the little shells and put them right back where they were. And just so that they're sitting like this. Alright, now you're going to take your water that you got, and you don't have to use the whole thing, I'm just gonna eyeball it. But now you're gonna pour it into a little pan on your stove. You might need some adult supervision for this if you've never boiled water before. It's pretty easy, you just need to be very careful and don't get any of the boiling water on your hands, on your clothes, because that'll hurt really, really bad. I'm just gonna take it, dump in about like half of it. I'll show you my little pan. I'm gonna turn this little guy all the way on high, and then you can see it's getting hot. And then you can take some of your salt that you took out, and this is just my trick even when I'm cooking or you know, whatever. Don't mind that monster can, I was just using it to set up my phone. Don't put any things that could burn or set on fire on top of the stove. I have that far away from the heat so that it won't get hot, but that's not flammable, but just make sure you don't put anything flammable on the stove. I just put a little bit of salt in my water because, another science fact, this makes the water boil faster because it makes the water get hotter. Just because I don't want to wait around forever for it to boil. But I just put a little bit of salt in there and it's on high, and now I just have to wait for it to start boiling. Waiting for our water to boil, this would be a good time to show you my puppy. And then my boyfriend playing video games. But her name's Coda, and she's just playing around. We got her a bunch of bones, some fun toys to play with. So that's pretty fun. All right, now that our water is boiling, we're gonna go grab our heat-proof container. I'm just gonna set it, I'm gonna put it in the sink. That's just more safe because we're gonna pour this boiling water into the coffee cup. And it is a lot safer to do it in a sink just because then you won't pour it on your hands or feet, and that the extra boiling water, if it does spill out, will go right in the sink. Don't forget to turn off the stove. That is very important. You don't want to set any fires. Make sure it's all the way off. All right, now carefully, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, because you're pouring it from a pan, but you're just gonna pour in about, I'd say about halfway in your mug. If you still have some boiling water left, that's okay. You can just dump it out in the sink. I'm setting my pan aside, and then I've got my boiling water in my coffee cup. For the purpose of this experiment, I am just gonna use salt in my my heat-proof container, just because I don't know, I just like salt, I don't know. And basically you're just gonna pour in, not a lot, just a little bit to start off with. And what we're gonna be doing is we are going to be super saturating our water. And that just means that we're pouring in enough of the soluble solid that when you mix it in there, it will all dissolve. And super saturated is just that we pour enough salt in there that after a while, we'll start to see that the salt doesn't dissolve anymore. And that's when you know that your water is super saturated, meaning it can't dissolve any more of our soluble solid. So I am just gonna, again, I'm eyeballing it, putting in a little bit at a time. And just watching the bottom, because that's gonna be your giveaway that you can be done putting the soluble in there. And just watch the bottom, because yeah, you'll start to see it build up at the bottom, and at that point then you know that that's as much salt or whatever solid you're using, that's as much as that can fit in there. Taking a lot more salt than I thought, so don't be shy when you're putting the salt in here. It takes a lot. And basically, when I hold it up, I don't know if it's easy to see, but now I'm starting to see that some of the salt isn't being dissolved anymore. I don't know if you can see that. So that means that it is super saturated, and that means that it's time to add food coloring. I'm gonna take this green food coloring and then we're gonna put it right into the cup. Right, I'm just gonna do like 4 drops. You can already see that's making it really, really green. And I'm just gonna mix that around. It's kind of up to you how much food coloring you wanna put in it. I might do maybe like 3 more drops in there. Sorry, Coda's being a little nuisance, so you're gonna hear her in the background. Just mixing it. And I think that's probably good. Take another break because she's obviously hungry. So we're gonna feed her some of her puppy food. A couple scoops for her. Here we go. And then I know she wants some water, so we'll get her some water also. Make sure if you have to give your dog water after this experiment, make sure the water is cold. And Also, don't give them any of this super saturated water that you just made, because the dog probably would not like that. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your water, your super saturated solution, and I'm gonna do this because I think this would be a little bit easier, but I'm just gonna take this spoon. Sorry, she's being loud. I'm gonna take this spoon and fill it up and be very careful. And this is kind of gonna take a little bit more time than just pouring it in there, but I don't trust myself to just pour it in there. And you're just gonna get it. You don't wanna overfill it, but just get it so it's almost at the top of your eggshell. Just do a little bit more. There we go. I think that's about good. And then do that for the rest of your eggs. Now we're gonna wait until all of the water evaporates, and then you'll have a special surprise. Okay, let's talk about what just happened. So dissolving the salt crystals in that hot water basically made what is called a supersaturated solution. Hot water, the boiling water, has a lot of energy because it's so hot. So whatever soluble solid that you used took advantage of the water's high energy and basically used that to make it so that it mixed in with the water's molecules, and basically until there was no more room left between the water molecules. As the water cooled, it lost a bunch of that energy, that heat energy, which forced the crystals of the salt to come back out of the water. Natural geodes in outside and in the world basically form the same way. Mineralized water, which means that it already has a soluble solid in it, basically seeps into little air pockets in rock, and then that's how those geodes form in the rock and outside of the rock. And that's also how you make rock candy, which is something that you will find out more about next week. Thank you guys for doing this fun experiment with me. I will see you next week, and we are gonna do some rock candy. So make sure that you turn on the notifications, subscribe so that you can get that content next Saturday. Thank you for watching. Bye.